I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit vpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. She's been in a handful of Cats productions, including as a swing in the Vienna Revival, as Tantamile on the Asia tour, then most recently was a swing and the assistant dance captain on the international tour. So welcome, Meghan Peploe-Williams, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you because you just told me there's also another production to add in there from university, so we'll get there. But I always like to start before, so let's even say before the university production, your introduction to Cats. Was it something you were obsessed with growing up or what?
It was. I feel like I'm one of those people where it's like, it was the show I wanted to do from when I was a kid. It was the first, it's kind of like the first thing I remember of like musical theatre. We were because my mum was a performer back in the day, so we were at her friend's house. I don't think he was very good with kids, so he shoved me and my little sister in his like cinema room and put the VHS on of Cats. And literally like obviously the White Cat solo's in the first 10 minutes. Watch that, and I literally remember being like, mouth open, like aghast. My little sister didn't care. She was like running around and I ran out to my mum and I was like, Mum, just watch this go and I'm going to be the White Cat when I'm older. And she's like, oh, that's nice. And so it was just, it was always the show I wanted to do. It was, and then I did it and it was dream come true.
I love it. I've heard versions of like people that in school that they bring out the TV when the substitute teacher's on. You had a friend who's like, no, I'm not dealing with these children.
Yeah, we're not dealing with the kids.
And then they pick. How do they pick Cats? Like, how does that choice?
Who knows? Maybe they just thought, this, children, Cats, they'll like this musical.
Yeah. And how old were you at this time? Was it like really young?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah. Wow. And then, so fast forward then, and you're in university and you get the notice that they're going to do Cats, right? Like, what is that for you then? Is that like pure excitement? And like, were your friends also like, oh, we got to do Cats? Like, what was it, a mixed crowd?
It was massively mixed because my year, we all have different abilities and capabilities in dance. And so when they announced that Cats was going to be one of our third year shows, it was so like Marmite. People were either like me, like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. Or people were like, oh, okay, sure. However, I just think because it's such a special show and Chrissy is so amazing at just like enticing you into that world, everyone by the end was like, this is really special.
Yeah, it does feel like, I've always compared it to a little bit like there's like almost a hazing that you get in some like fraternities and sororities in the US where it's like you bond over what you're doing together.
Oh my God,
even
100%.
Whether you kind of at times maybe love it or hate it. And I feel like Cats has a little bit of that because it's so physically demanding. You get so close to each other, like literally close to each other on stage, that you become a family. And I think people who've performed in the show have a different level of appreciation for it than others.
100%. And I think like as well, for us, it was also during like COVID times, or like it was coming like out of the end of COVID. So like a lot of the second half of our second year and our third year was like massively disrupted. And I think we were just so grateful that we got the opportunity to like be on stage as a year and do something that was like so amazing. And you're right, like we did really bond over it because we were like, oh my God, this is so hard.
Yeah.
Cats
is the opposite of social distancing. Like you are on top of each other.
And we had to literally like, because we were coming out of the end, like we were in like a bubble. So it was only like our group that we were allowed to, and we were doing all the rehearsals in masks as well. So imagine doing the freaking Jellicle Ball with a mask on then when I did it afterwards in Vienna and did it for the first time, I was like, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, you did like high intensity training there that you were like, oh, this is actually easy compared to what you were practicing.
Literally.
You said, so you were Victoria.
I was.
How much did they tell you of Victoria's story in that production? Because it's a pretty wild coming of age story to be doing at that point in your
For sure.
life.
We got the full like sit down circle shebang that, you know, Chrissy does at professional contracts as well. So it was crazy to have this story after being a fan for so long and loving the show and being like, oh yeah, I think I kind of get it, but like didn't get it at all until we got the sit down story. But it was still amazing and I think because I was still in training, Chrissy and Emily were so great at allowing all of us to interpret all the characters and all the characters' relationships in our own way as well.
Yeah. I just can't even fathom having Chrissy Cartwright at your, like, helping your university production is like in itself, like the legend of all legends there.
It was incredible. And I think in the moment you don't realize how lucky you are until then. I was doing other contracts of Cats, and obviously Chrissy is like the busiest woman on planet Earth, so she couldn't always be there for the full like rehearsal period. And then you go, well, having her there for every second, we were so lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Crazy. So then fast forward, you're graduated and you go to, you get the Vienna contract, and this is now a professional contract, but it's in German. Do you speak German? Was this like, nope, this was okay, we're going to learn this on the fly. Okay.
And also like, it was crazy. So I'd auditioned for the, in like the January of that year, I'd auditioned for that Europe tour that happened.
Yeah.
Didn't get it. And then I got this call. My agent randomly called me on like a Friday night. She was like, you're not going to believe, like, we just had a call from Vienna asking if you'll come and be a swing over there. And I was like, sorry, what?
Yeah.
Since when is that a thing? And she was like, yeah. But there was no initial conversation about the fact it was in German. And it was only when I arrived in Austria, they were like, okay, so like, you've got like your German speaking call. And I was like, sorry? They're like, yeah, like, you know, you have to learn how to sing the whole show in German. I was like, oh my God. Like I didn't do German at school. I was like, I did Spanish. So for me, this was literally like starting from scratch. But, and I had 2 weeks of rehearsals, and I was basically on my own. I was meant to have Rhys Batten join me for that period because he'd done the show before and he was coming in to fill in for Cora Capat. And we were both meant to do all the German stuff together, and then he got COVID. So I ended up having to just do it all on my own.
All by yourself. Wow.
All by myself with this amazing woman called Suzanne, and she was amazing and so patient. But when you're just there, like with the music, and they're like, no, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to literally lose my brain. And it wasn't until I put like movement to like singing that it like clicked. Because me doing it like just, you know, sat in my accommodation, like trying to remember it just didn't go in. And then, the moment I put like movement to it, it was crazy. Like it just all clicked into place. And I could sing the whole thing. I don't know if I could sing it now.
Yeah. Well, I think that was my kind of like my question is I know a few people I've talked to have come from Broadway to the Vienna when they did it, you know, in a while ago. Then they revived it. You know the show already. Like you've learned it. You did it multiple times. You're now learning it, and it's like I've listened to the German album. I've got the vinyls for a couple different languages.
Isn't that amazing?
And then some bootlegs of some other ones that are not vinyls, but I have. And it's like it's similar. it's still cats, but it's not the same. And like, it is learning. It feels like at times a new show, and you're doing this while also swinging. So you're learning, what was it? I think it said 4 or 5 different tracks at the
4.
time. Yeah. So that's got to be a wild experience.
It was crazy. But they're very good about just making sure that any of the solo lines I had as all the cats I was covering were like 100% covered. Like anything that was on my own, that's the ones that they were like really like drilling.
Yeah, the part where everyone's going to hear it, you got to be right. And then the rest, you're going to just be with the other cats. So
exactly.
You'll be all right.
Like I remember them saying to me, they're like, you probably will never get skimble in your, whole time of doing it, because it was so fast. It was so fast, and it was so like that I would say I maybe got it by like the end of the 4th month, but I was there like maybe sometimes turning my head so that the audience can see that I literally had no idea what was going on.
Just mouth along, get the dance part. Make sure you build the train right. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Do the choreography, somehow move the mouth, make it look like it.
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm like, I'm sure, because I've heard the Japanese version too, and there's a couple others where I'm like, I don't know how you learned this. And I did an episode recently with someone who was there when they switched the Mungo Jerry from the British to the, I'll call it American, but between the two, and I'm like, that's a different song. Like, it's a whole different song. You've got to relearn 100%. Something you've been doing a lot too.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if I fast forward, then you do Vienna in 2022.
Yep.
And then you go, I think, pretty immediately to the Asia tour, which I think was China, Korea, right? Was it?
Yeah, South Korea.
South Korea, okay. But you pivot right back to English. Was that transition easy?
It was kind of weird. And there was a couple of us from Vienna that were going to South Korea. And it was, and my twin was Nathan Luke. And we were both in the choir actually. And we both just switched and started doing it in German and like looked at each other like, oh my God, we're doing it in English now.
Wrong language, yeah.
And same for like our twin moments in the opening. I think the first time we did it, we both just like automatically did it in German. So it was just like out of pure like habit.
Yeah.
But it was nice going back and singing it in English, because I think, not that I forgot I guess when you're just listening to it in German, I'm like, oh, I remember kind of what this bit is in the music in English. But obviously I still didn't like understand it. I'm just there like sat like in Gus, for example, being like, oh yeah, I think this is the bit that he's talking about, like being the fiend of the fell or something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas then it was so lovely to like sit there and be like, oh, I can actually like fully react to this whole thing because I understand what he's singing about.
Yeah, that is such an interesting point of like, the music well, it, but there are some character choices you should have based on the lyrics, right? Like a reaction at moments, or maybe a look that you're going to give. And that's got to be much harder. So yeah, you bring that back now, you're in English, and it's just, your first language. And yeah, you can just naturally react.
100%. Whereas like I was having to like look around the stage to make sure that this is like the bit, I don't know, like in Gus when like he talks about the kittens, and I'm like, okay, yep, this is this bit where I get sad because I'm, a kitten and whatever. So yeah, it was nice to just be like, I understand. This is my language.
And so you do the South Korea tour. You added assistant dance captain at that point?
Yeah. I did we did South Korea, and then we had like maybe a month off, and then we did Taiwan for like a month and a half. We got like a little extension, and I added assistant dance captain to that portion of the tour. So
what does the extra responsibilities in the Cats world look like there for you when you add that?
Oh, I loved it. I think just when you have such a love and a passion for a show that means so much to you, the fact that you have the ability to kind of like take care of it and look after it in a way is just an opportunity that I never took for granted and I never took lightly. For me, especially being assistant, it's about not stepping on people's toes, but obviously, you know, we've got our resident, we've got our dance captain. So like we have people that are so capable, also know the show so well. So it's just kind of like stepping in as and when you're needed in like different scenarios. So a lot of the time it was for like cut shows, you know, helping out, being like, because I was in that scenario, then I was the only girl. So then I would be like, oh, I think like maybe this would make a bit more sense, or this would actually be a bit more helpful. Kind of like using my own experience in those kind of aspects.
Having done it. Yeah.
Taking warm up, just being someone that people can come to if anything's kind of going wrong, and either if I have the ability, fix it myself, or, you know, going to our DC or our resident and being like, something's going on here, like, can we have a look at it after warm up or whatever?
Yeah. And then you do Taiwan, and then how long is the break, or is there much of a break before you go to China for the international tour?
Yeah, it was a year.
A full year, okay.
Full year, and then different like production company as well. So it was kind of like a whole new
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you did the whole year of the China tour, and then you came back for covering, I think, right after
you left.
After I went to see it. Yeah. So we missed each other by probably like a week.
Literally.
And okay, so you've covered now. So you're Victoria in university, and then I have Cassandra, Electra, Tantamile, Victoria in Vienna. Cassandra, Jemima, Jenny Annie Dots, Rumpelteazer, Victoria in Korea.
Yeah.
And then Cassandra, Demeter, Jenny Annie Dots, Rumpelteazer, Tantamile, Victoria in China.
Yeah.
Did you go on for every single one?
In China, yes.
Okay.
And in South Korea, yes. In Vienna, the only one I didn't go on for was Victoria. But in all the other ones, I went on.
Covered every track.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Do you have a favorite from what you've covered? I'm going to take Victoria out of it, because Victoria obviously was your first one.
That's fine. We can take her out. Because actually she's not, I love her, but she's now not the favorite.
Oh, okay.
I would say in China, I think the first one that springs to mind is Rumpelteazer. She's just so fun.
Just fun, yeah.
And like the guys I got to do it with were like the best. Like we had so much fun. Like when I got to do it with Billy Mahoney in South Korea, it's like my best friend in the whole entire world. So that was like the most special show. Doing it with your best mate was unbelievable. And then Marcus in China, 10 out of 10, the most outstanding, hardworking human. And then Aaron, he was first cover, and obviously I was first cover Rumpel, so that was also 10 out of 10. Jamie Armour was second cover, so I got to do it a couple of times with him, also 10 out of 10, one of my best. So it was just like, I guess it was maybe more of a thing of like the people I was doing it with.
Yeah.
It just made it like 10 times.
Which of those characters was the most fun to craft, like their backstory? Because like I know as a swing, you don't go in probably as the level of depth as you do when you're doing it full time, but you have to still embrace kind of the characters' 3 words and what they're
100%.
doing. So did you have any that you were like, I love this story, and others where I was like, this one's kind of tough, but it's fun to still do?
I would say Demeter was probably the best in like that aspect, because everyone has their own kind of stories with what they think about, you know, why Demeter has this kind of like pull towards Grizz, and why she doesn't, you know, necessarily like act on it in whatever capacity. So I loved like trying to just figure out why she feels the way she does.
What was your version?
My version was that she knew firsthand that Grizabella had basically been like taken away by McCavity, and she was kind of like under like a bit of a lock and key, because Demeter had been there. She'd also been that, but obviously managed to escape and get back to the tribe, whereas Grizabella was kind of like stuck there. And I think that, you know, even though in my head, even though she has these little moments where she obviously comes and like tries to see the tribe, I was like, she's still trapped by Macavity. So I think that's why every time she was there, she was like, oh, I know she's suffering, I know she's in pain, but like, if I go to her, Macavity's going to show up, and then it's the end of the road for me. That's why she constantly is like, Macavity.
Yeah. So when I started this podcast, I knew nothing about cats. And I've now recorded over 200 plus episodes. It still blows my mind that one of the few things that is consistent across every production I've ever talked to is Demeter's story. And that's so wild to me that like this show that's based around really a tribe and Grisabella, it's like the one through line of every production is Demeter's kind of like scariness of Macavity relationship and everything else. And that's so strange to me that that's the one thing where everyone's like, we're going to agree on this. Like everyone else has some other interpretations. Like I could ask you about your Mungo, Jerry, and Rumple teaser. Are you dating? Are you brothers, sisters? Are you best friends? Like, not sure. Is Bomb and Demeter, are they sisters? Are they friends? Are they related to Grisabella? Like, there's always a question mark on every other one. But Demeter's story is always the same.
The same.
And that is wild to me, that's the one that everyone's like, we're good. We're going to just always do this one the same. Everyone else, you can have some tweaks, you can make some adjustments. But Demeter, you're going to go do Demeter.
She's that.
Yeah. What level of depth do you go into when you are, as a swing, with each of the characters' stories, when you're kind of going on almost at random at times for different ones?
I mean, obviously when we're like opening and we're in first kind of stages of rehearsals, everyone gets their 3 words. So as a swing, I obviously write down everyone's 3 words so that I can, make sure that I'm fully aware of like what kind of like encapsulates their character. But I don't know. I feel like I always try to go as like deeply as I could in the character, because then that also just makes it, I don't know if real is the right word when we're in a world of cats singing, but
that's so true.
As like real as possible. And then, you just feel so much more involved in the world that, we're creating. Did
each production have a slightly different variance of the backstories and characters? Like, it's the same show on all 3, different language, I guess, for one of them. But, you have different castmates and different friends and different people. Did you make those adjustments? Like, was it different depending on who you were performing with, or was it kind of the same thing through all 3 tours? I
would actually say it was a bit different per shirt, like per contract, because I loved it when we would sit down and people, we would have a conversations of like who we think we are to people. And obviously like Gavin Eden, for example, like Gavin has very specific ways that he sees Skimble and how he, has different relationships with people. And that is very different to then maybe how our Skimble, when I was at university, like saw his Skimble. So like it does change, and you do adapt depending on who you're playing with, because then it also depends on how that person interacts with you on stage.
Yeah.
So it which I love. Like, I love that. I love people just having completely like different varying opinions, even though it's, like you said, the exact same show.
Yeah, I think that's why Cats is something that you can see over and over again, and why they keep doing it so often, and you can run it so many different times in different locations, because you can do that, and there's a slightly different show every night, but it's still Cats.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I think that's actually really cool. And then too, as a like an audience member, I think and I've had this conversation with a lot of Mungo, Jerry, and Rumple teasers, but the second time in the show I saw it, I realized that the reason I liked that song so much and it stuck in my head is because it was the only time in the first act, really, where they were the only 2 on stage.
Yeah.
And so every other time there's so much going on that when you watch it, I've now seen the show many more times, and I actually had the most fun watching in Frankfurt because I was sitting next to Dane, and he was taking notes and getting ready to take notes, doing his job, and I'm fascinated, being like, what's he seeing? Because you're kind of always watching. A lot of people will watch who's singing or the dance numbers where it's this beautiful choreography.
Yeah.
But there's also the twins are doing really cool things on the sides at times that are really integral to the story if you know that it's happening. And the first time I'm like, who are these two? So
100%.
I think it's kind of a beautiful show for people that become super fans or become obsessed with it, because you can catch something different every time you see it.
100%. And I think that was the really fab thing actually about South Korea and China, is that they got so excited when a cover was on. They'd be like, oh my goodness, I get to see Meghan's version of Demeter today, and they were so funny. They write full reviews of, or not even reviews, but full stories of and Meghan as Demeter interacted with Mungo Jerry in this moment, and I just felt like they were having a conversation about McCavity and how scary. Do you know what I mean? That you go, oh, actually, I was just telling him that his popper was undone on his, leg warmer or whatever. But the way that they see it, I'm like, oh, that's so special, because they are constantly wanting to come back to see different people's versions of the show.
Yeah, it's so true that a lot of the rumors, a lot of the headcanon and the stuff that I've found over the years, I've been able to ask people directly where I'm like, this comes from your performance. How did this get built? And it's no, we were just friends. We're the two of us off stage are really good friends, and our characters maybe weren't supposed to be. And all of a sudden now there's rumors that this is happening because of that. And I love you saying we were talking. It's no, the tail's falling off, and I'm just making sure that they know that. And and then now all of a sudden all the fans are writing stories about the two of you being a couple, or whatever they now think because of that.
Funny.
I think that's a beautiful part of Cats.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died.
What are some of the memorable moments from any of the times you've done it? The things you're just never going to forget, either funny moments, just anything that sticks with you.
The first one will always be when I was in South Korea. We were maybe in our third venue, maybe not even third, second venue or something like that. We were in Busan, and we'd been only open for about a month. And in South Korea, we didn't really have a first and a second, but we did have a first and a second, because it was just kind of easier for us to be oh, okay, well, if the Gumby goes off, Alice Oberg, she was kind of first cover, and then I was second. Anyway, Alice had made her, I think it was her debut the day before as Gumby. And the thing is that Maddie, who was our Gumby, she'd already done the show. So when we were in rehearsals, they didn't teach the Gumby tap, because she knew it. And they were we'll get around to it. Don't worry. You will learn it in, cover rehearsals. And I was yeah, brilliant. Alice, being Alice, films it. So she'd already taught it to herself. So fine. She went on. It was all fabulous. I get a call from my company manager. I think it was a double show day, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday. And he goes, and we'd already had the offs. So I was meant to be my track Tantamile, and I had a different choreographer. So I had one of the swings on. And that was meant to be the show. And then he calls me, I'm in the lobby, and he's like, you're on as Gumby. And I was like, no, I'm not. He was like, oh, no, you are. I was like, I'm not. I'm really not. He was like, no, you are. You are. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't know it. And that is my idea of a nightmare. I was like, to be on stage and have absolutely no idea. And, it's not it's something that I can try and, you are on your own, having a mic on your feet, listening to your taps. So I was like, oh my God. So George, the dance captain, George Hankers, he literally called me, and he was like, right, do your face as quickly as you can, and then we're going to go into the studio and I'm going to teach it to you. And it was literally an hour before the show started. I was learning the Gumby tap it was chaos, but it happened and I did it. And I was just like, let's just think of this as like an audition, and because you learn choreography really quickly and then you have to perform it. So like,
wow.
So yeah, did it and did 2 shows. The first one was a little bit, but the second one was fine. But yeah, that was probably the one that like sticks out in my brain like
so
so
you knew
much.
the rest of the track because you learned all of that, but they just didn't teach you the tap number because she knew it. They didn't need to rehearse it.
Yeah.
Never spent the time to show you the two of you at all. And then you are, so you've got an hour to learn an entire solo that everyone's watching.
It was crazy. I've never.
At least it's early in the show, so it's like you learn it off stage, and then you only have to do 100%. the opening. Like there's not that much before you go right into it.
And it's lovely because then as well, I wasn't like having to. It's not like the Misto solo, which is all the way at the end of Act 2. Like you do the opening, I go off, I get changed, I do it, done. And I kind of love Gumby's track for that reason anyway, because like, lovely, then I can have a lovely, gorgeous time for the rest of the show. But it also means that the adrenaline wasn't just like building and building, and I was working myself up. Like it was just get in the boot, do it, done.
Which is easier or harder of the like you've got the time and the adrenaline to kind of be in the show versus like really early on, especially in that moment, Like, in general, is there one that's easier for you?
I would say is probably having your number earlier on, or at least before the ball.
Yeah.
Like Macavity, I guess, is a little bit different because it's even though you are singing and dancing, it's not like the Misto solo, which is just like complete chaos for like basically 5 minutes.
Yeah. Or the ball for 13 straight minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Gumby stuff and Mungo and Rump is like before the ball. So you have the ability to, kind of keep it calm until you've got your numbers, and then you can still go ham in the ball because you don't really have much going on in Act 2.
I've always wondered, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about this, but I still wish the ball ended the first act. Like, I wish it just curtain dropped.
Yeah.
And instead we get Little Memory, which I understand. Like, you got to, from a storytelling perspective, you need that moment. But from like a show-stopping number, like that music hits, you all are kind of like reaching out to the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could just drop the curtain right there. How are you all feeling during that Little Memory? Like, you all just did one of the most physically demanding workouts I've ever seen at the highest of high intensity. Are you all just like trying not to die up there?
Oh my God.
While everyone else is there, while there's Little Memory happening?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you'll walk backstage and everyone's like draining their legs or like rolling out or just like fans on their faces, or like it's it's normally during rehearsals that I'm like, oh God, I feel so bad, because then you've got, someone amazing like Lisa May Barker or Joanna Ampel, like absolutely like, letting their heart like rip on stage, and we're all there like like not being able to breathe, like so if you just go backstage, everyone's just basically dying, and it doesn't get any easier, I would say, the more you do it.
No, I'm not a dancer, not a performer, and I still, to this day, the first time I saw a show, it was before I had any idea I was going to make this joke and I was going to know way too much about it in my life. But I did kind of like write a little bit of this, like I wrote a little bit of a kind of a parody of like, this is why I think the show is nuts. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. But at the end of that, writing that parody, I wrote at the same time, growing up as an athlete, growing up playing sports, still attend a ton of sporting events. I watched that ball and I was like, this is more impressive or equally as impressive as some of the sporting events I've been to from the athletes that are there. And I was like, these performers are athletes at the highest of high levels doing something so physically demanding. And it's like, I played hockey. You're like in full gear. And I'm like, they're in a unitard 3 feet from the front row of people watching them do this. I was like mesmerized by how difficult it looked to do, and like really impressed, at that moment. And then I learned about rake stages and all these other things where I was like, this is just crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's do some rapid fire to round us out here, because we still got to talk about the most important question.
Of course.
If you could go on for one night in Cats, any cat, male, female, doesn't matter. If you could, in your vocal range or can dance or sing it, who do you want to perform as?
Oh, I would love to have a go as Tugger. I think that would just be
Tugger.
so fun.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it really quite lovely. Have a whole little number to himself. Just be this, like, outrageous, nuts, crazy, cool costume. Like, I just want to wear that big, furry mane. I just think it's, and just have little bits and bobs throughout the show, like, but not necessarily have to kill yourself. I mean, I'm saying that like I know maybe people do, but it just looks lovely.
I love it. Favorite and least favorite cat from a personality standpoint. So who would you want to hang with and who would bug you?
Like me personally?
Yep.
Okay.
You, Meghan.
I would say based on, I mean, this is more based on how I've played it, I guess, but how I play it is Cassandra is I mean, she's not sociable. Like, she doesn't like hanging out with people. So I would say to not hang out with would probably be Cassandra. That's not based on, some of my lovely friends.
Not performers. No.
No.
I'm talking about cats as in the characters.
Yeah, Cassandra, she's just too good for everyone. So, and then who would I want to hang out with? First person that came to mind was Skimble. I just think he's so cute and good, positive vibes, and keeps himself busy and just wants to, be right-hand man.
Does his thing. Yeah. Okay. Favorite song in the show?
Favorites. This changes quite a bit. It was McCavity for still kind of is McCavity. I just love it, especially like when all the girls join in and like they're at the back, and I just #girl power. I love it.
I think it's up there for my favorites, if not my favorite. I do have a gripe though, as someone who uses Spotify, is like the version on Spotify from the original album, or from, I don't know if it's Broadway or whichever one I have on there. Yeah. It's like 8 minutes, and it includes way too much of like the musical interludes and other parts. I'm like, I just want the song part. I just
want to hear them absolutely squelch.
Especially as someone who rides the subway in New York, and I'm like, I can't have this like haunting music just playing in my ears, creepy. Getting on the subway at times. Like, I need just the song. So it's like I have to cut it out of my playlist all the time.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so when you did it in university, did you was there extra cats, or was it just exactly the show?
Oh no, there were extra cats.
Did you have names for them?
Yeah. Well, so some of them had been in the show like previously.
Okay. Like
we had an etc. Yeah. We did have the Electra. We had a James. Yeah, it was because there were definitely more people than. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my question is, I always ask one fun one. If you were tasked with naming a new cat, what are you going to name them?
Okay, this is, it's not, it's a bit of a cheat because it's actually a German version of.
Okay.
But I always said if I ever get a cat, in the German one, the Rumpus cat is called Kater Rumpum, like Rumpum. So Rumpum.
Rumpum, okay. I love it. All right, the most important question. So this show's centers around, I don't think Grisabella should be the right Jellicle choice. So I want to know, you, Meghan, not any of your characters. I want to know who is your Jellicle choice and why.
Okay. My Jellicle choice actually is Old Jeep. But then the thing is that he's my choice, but I don't necessarily think that it's the choice like in the show, if that makes sense. Like, I don't see him going up to the Heaviside layer like during the show like Grizz does.
Okay.
But I feel like it's just like time for a new perspective in the tribe and a new leader. And I think, a lot of the things of him trying to teach Monk the ways of, making sure everyone in the tribe feels included and everyone is listening and everyone is open. I just kind of think that it would be an interesting perspective if he was the one to go.
Oh, yeah.
And if
Monk's
Grizz were to
ready.
stay.
Yeah.
Monk's ready. Oh, he's
Yeah.
ready.
Okay, so how would you end it then if you pick Old Deuteronomy? Like, how's the show ending if he decides it's his turn?
I think, because I quite like the idea of like Grizz being Monk's like mum, or that kind of relationship being and you know, I think yes, the white cat touch still happens. Like that's so important to have her be like included back in the tribe. But especially like, I don't know. I just don't think she's ready to go quite yet. I know,
I agree completely.
Other people have their opinions in terms of she's exhausted and mentally, like she's been through so much, even just in the period of the show.
Yeah.
But like, imagine if she just had those moments to like be included and feel that love and appreciation from the whole tribe. Maybe that would, make her life last that little bit longer.
I told this to Lucy when we recorded because she was all ready to argue with me. And I told her, I was like, I agree with the entire story except the leaving. And so I was like, when you go on stage that night, because I talked to her, a couple hours before her show. Yeah. I was like, I want you to then turn around and realize that you're leaving your family that just welcomed you back. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and then do it so Dane doesn't give you a note because I don't want to be the cause of that. But I'm like, but that's the part that I struggle with, which is that moment. Like like you're just saying, like, you're exhausted, whatever, but have your family revive you. So could you just say, like, they kind of get up there together, he just sends her back down and old dude just goes off to the sky
on his own. Maybe. Yeah. But then it is like, I have thought about this a lot. I just don't know how it would end if she wasn't the one to, unless it was like the tire goes up and they're both up there together and old Duke, still sings his song and everyone else is like, down below and he's still telling the audience that, this is how you address a cat and, we're
so I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about this way too much because I'm like, I want someone to do this. I think that depending on my dream is still an audience vote or some form of like,
oh yeah,
Old Deuteronomy
I
picks
heard
every
that in
day.
Lucy's.
So imagine that happens. You still get to the exact moment. So you run the entire show exactly the same. You get to the moment where he starts to walk Grisabella up. Now, depending on who they choose, you just put Grisabella into that place and you put the other person up. And if it's Old Deuteronomy, the whole point is you're allowing Monkish Trap to take over. So Monkish Trap would probably then walk him up and sing the closing song. Yeah. Because now it's like, I am the leader. This is of the tribe. I need to tell you this last song in the addressing of cats. And that's the ending then because Old Deuteronomy is now giving him the reins. So I think that's how you would have to do it.
I like that. I do like that. I also think it would work if he still sang it as like his last
and then
hurrah.
Goes. Yeah. And then like goes. Leaves. Yeah, totally. You could do that as well. If he's the one that chooses.
I guess
he chooses himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you could just have Grizz down with the rest of her tribe.
Yeah, she takes whatever spot is of whoever is picked.
Yeah, I like that.
It works. I'm telling you, I know it works. I've spent time working this out to where it wouldn't like, because at first I was like, oh, here's how you do it from the story. And then I'm like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, well, you just have to tell everyone how to rig themselves to fly. That's not that hard.
Yeah.
That's possible.
It's possible.
And then you need to fill in the gap. The gap. Because they're all, staring at the crowd, yelling at you basically that you're not a dog. So you need so they just fill in wherever that person is.
Yeah.
It works.
I see that.
The only thing that's stopping it is Sir Andrew.
Sir Andrew. Maybe we need to have a chat.
One day, that's going to be my goal, is to end this show with him and telling him that that's how I want this to end, and then I'm never going to record another episode again.
Well, that's it.
That's going to be the
I
end.
love it.
That's going to be the last one.
I love.
So we're not talking to him until I'm done with the show.
Sure.
This has been so fun. I love any non-Grisabella votes. I appreciate that. It was so fun to hear all your different stories and your many years. Is the goal to go back? Would you love to go back? Are you done with cats? Where are you?
I don't think I could ever say I'm done with cats.
Okay.
It's weird because, when you have done it for so long and you've done a long contract and your body is broken, you're like, oh God, like I just need
never
to stop. And then you do something else and you're like, God, that show is so special. Like there is nothing. I truly believe there is nothing like it. And there's nothing for me that just feels as rewarding as doing that show and telling that story and being a part of that like creative process as well. So I would always go back.
So you're not through your 9 Jellicle lives. You still got a few left.
I think so.
How can people stay in touch with you on social media and other things you're doing in your career?
I'm on Instagram at Meghan_Cara. And at the minute I'm doing a little old show called Mamma Mia.
That little show.
That little old show, which is fab, and we opened literally on Monday this week, and it's so they can catch me on there and see what's going on in the land of Greece.
I love it. Slightly different than the Junkyard, but
very different
another
from the Junkyard.
very fun show.
Yeah, very fun.
Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mike.
And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast. Follow us on social media at The Wrong Cat Died, or check our website, thewrongcatdied.com.